So, the first time I watched Far From Home, I was pretty disappointed. There's a video on my channel about it, and if you wanna watch it for some reason, it's right here. But don't do this, like it's pretty bad. But to make a big resume, I basically said that the movie was boring, uninteresting, and the more I thought about it, it became less and less appealing to me. At a point I thought that it was the worst Spider-Man movie ever made, but after rewatching, it changed. And let me say something really important. I am not going to make the argument from comic accuracy here, okay? I'm not. I'm judging the MCU Spidey based on the MCU and the MCU alone. I don't care about any comics, Raimi movies, Spider-Verse, Garfield. In this video, I only care about MCU. So now that I made that clear, let's talk about my thoughts after the rewatch. I honestly love this movie after the rewatch. It isn't on my top 3, but it's definitely not the worst anymore for me. I love Peter's arc. Is the thing that I love the most about this movie. He starts as a kid trying to live up not to the Tony Stark we all know, the deeply flawed, paranoid, that makes a lot of mistakes Tony Stark, but to the idealistic and unrealistic superhero the public may him out to be. The relationship between Peter and Tony in the MCU is really different than our relationship with Tony. We know every scenario, every thought, every mistake Tony's ever made. Peter, he doesn't. Peter knows the superhero billionaire that gave him a chance to be a superhero and that trusted him to be not only like him, but to be better than him. So it's obvious that he will become anxious giving interviews. The monuments that were supposed to honor Tony make him feel bad and pressured. Tony in this movie becomes less of a mentor like in Homecoming and more of a shadow. The memory of Tony Stark becomes a heavy weight for Peter at a point that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. When I watched the movie for the first time, I thought Peter wasn't sad enough. The first scene in this movie is him planning to ask a girl out on a trip. I wanna see him cry and mourn Tony, but now that I rewatch, it all made sense to me. Like, people grieve in different ways, but not only that, Peter doesn't want to think about Tony, and this is honestly perfect. It shows how the mere image of Tony Stark brings so much pressure into him that the best thing he can do is to stay away. Far From Home is about coming to terms with Tony's memories, about detaching Tony from Spider-Man, and how Peter does this moves the plot, where he treats Tony as an impossible goal, as his god he holds back, because he fears he won't be able to live up to his level. I used to think that one of the biggest flaws in Far From Home was that Peter was still in Tony's shadow by the end. But now I think it's so ironic because the point of this movie is basically Peter rejecting Tony Stark. I think Marvel heard the complaints of people saying that this version of Spidey was Iron Man Jr. and they made an entire movie saying, look, no. The biggest problem of Peter in this movie is exactly how attached Iron Man became on the image of Spider-Man. And call it a stretch, but welcome to my channel. The interview scene is a great way to showcase how even in that universe Peter is seen as Iron Man Jr. And the whole movie is him deciding if that's what he is. But at the same time he wants to live a normal life, but at the same time Nick Fury keeps pressuring him, monsters are trying to destroy the world, and a perfect superhero shows up and makes him feel like shit. And at the same time, look, what I'm trying to say here is that Peter goes through a lot in this movie, and this is what makes this rewatch so much interesting. I haven't noticed this in the first watch. Another awesome thing that I found out was the Peter tingle.
Please do not start calling it my Peter tingle.
Nope, it's Peter tingle. I love how Cinema Wins explains the Peter tingle in his videos. And even though they have a similar but also quite different understanding of it, I'll leave his video in this card right here, so when this video is finished, check it out. To me, Peter's inability to use the tingle is related to his inability to leave the idealized version of Tony behind. As I say, the suit of Spider-Man in Peter's mind is directly related to Tony. When he puts that suit, instead of feeling free to be his own hero, he feels even more compelled to be the hero Tony was. The suit becomes a burden to Peter. He can't let himself go even when his life depends on it, because he keeps trying to adjust himself to Iron Man. So when he finally comes to terms with Tony's memory, knowing he can't live up to the hero Iron Man was, because not even Tony himself could, he becomes his own hero and is finally able to feel comfortable enough in that suit to activate the tingle. It's honestly a great way to showcase how Marvel is basically screaming in our face that this is not Iron Man Jr. Move on. So this is the final part of this video, and it's my favorite one because we're talking about Mysterio. I love Mysterio in this movie. Mysterio is a subversion of our perception of heroism. Quentin Beck understands more than anyone else what we want, what the public wants from a superhero. Quentin knows that normal people don't want a flawed leader, they want a perfect messiah they can look up to. Mysterio is the embodiment of perfection. Quentin is not, but Mysterio is. Mysterio and Tony Stark in these movies are two sides of the same coin. Flawed people that were idealized by the public at the point they became almost God. The difference is that Tony is a true hero because being a hero at the end of the day isn't being perfect but just doing the right thing when, just because it's the right thing to do. But Quentin, well...
Fire all the drones now!
He's not. He's just far away from that. He plays on Peter's ideal hero to convince him to give him Edith. Edith. Fuck it. Mysterio is superior to the perfect hero he thought Iron Man was, the ideal hero he thought he needed to live up to, the overconfident, sometimes cocky, and willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, just like Tony. And I absolutely love the comparison between Tony's death and Mysterio's. When Peter calls out for Tony at the end of Endgame, he doesn't respond, but when he calls out for Beck in a quite similar way, he does. I think to Peter, Mysterio being alive after the incident is almost the same as if Tony had survived the snap. This is why he becomes such a Mysterio fan. He gives Edith, whatever, to him, and he feels betrayed when he finds about the truth. This movie is also about Peter learning to not rely on anyone else to be his hero, but to be the hero himself. Obviously, he still loves Tony, but he knows that the Iron Man that he was trying to live up to was never real, that the perfect hero is not real. And this is all because of Mysterio. His motives may not be personally related to Peter, but the only reason why Peter grows in this movie is because of him. Without Mysterio, Peter's arc would be incomplete, and this is why I think he was a perfect choice for the story they wanted to tell. And obviously I want to see my boy Kraven, Goblin, and especially Octopus in the MCU, but for this movie, yeah, Mysterio was perfect choice. I can't believe I'm actually praising Far From Home, but here I am. And for the final considerations, I want to say that it's okay if you disagree with me. Movies are subjective, so I don't care. But maybe, just maybe, if this video made you want to rewatch the movie, do it. Just like me, like more this time. Maybe you can join me. Yeah, it'll be cool.